oh, how I wanted to leave these verses to Wes. If you've read Ephesians 4, 8, and perhaps 9 and 10 as well, you'll see that these aren't the most straightforward of verses. But let me read verse 7 and 8 to give the context. But to each one of us, grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people. Now, as I said, these are complicated and debated verses. You can read commentaries with all kinds of theories. But here's my summary. I think in verse 7, as we looked at yesterday, we see that Jesus gives grace, gifts, to his church, to his people. And here we get a little snapshot of the triumph and the glory of Jesus, who gives these gifts. Paul here is quoting Psalm 68, a psalm that is calling God to come in triumph and to come to give victory to his people as he had done in the past. So it looks back to the Exodus and sees God as this triumphant warrior who defeats the enemies. Now the complicated thing is, in that verse, it isn't God giving gifts to the people, it is the people giving gifts to God. So Paul here, I think, deliberately has changed it. But I don't think that's a big problem, because that's exactly what happened in those days in victories. The triumphant warriors, kings, whatever, they received plunder from the enemies that they defeated. But then that plunder, all those good things that they've won, they then give to their own people. And so I think that's the picture we see here of the triumphant Jesus. See, when he ascended on high, he took many captives. I think that is talking about his resurrection. Having died, paid for the sins of his people, he then rose again. He ascended. And he took many captives. Again, I think thinking that picture of him defeating all powers, all the principalities and powers of the earth, and those things that we saw earlier in the book. The triumphant Jesus, the one who has defeated all evil, all spiritual forces, now gives gifts to his church in order for them to use those gifts to serve one another, to as it were, enjoy the spoils of war, and to enjoy the victory and take part in the victory that he has won. And so once again today, as we think about how can we use those gifts that Jesus has given you to serve each other, remember that those gifts are from Jesus and they are given by him, the triumphant one, to use. So let's use them in serving one another, in seeking to reach out to the world around us with this news of the triumphant saving Jesus.